In 1904, in Cairo, an event occurred that has taken decades to be fully understood in its multidimensional scope, but before revealing it to you, it is necessary for you to understand why every single system surrounding you is failing simultaneously and why this instability is not at all destined to resolve itself. What you are observing today is not a passing crisis, nor a simple economic or social slowdown, but the technical mechanics of the closure of a millennial cosmic cycle that allows no repeats. When you learn to map your current position within the Great Wheel of Ages, you realize that humanity is not in a phase of decline from which it will recover using old rules, but has arrived at the exact point of singularity that precedes the collapse of a complete structure and the instantaneous birth of a totally new timeline. Aleister Crowley spent 3 days in a trance receiving the Liber al Vel Legis, commonly known as the Book of the Law, the fundamental sacred text of the philosophy and religion called Thelema. But the detail that almost no one connects is that in the preceding months he had intensely studied the demotic papyri of the Book of Thoth. Those texts describe with millimetric precision how cosmic cycles operate, how they close, and what happens when an era reaches its final collapse point. In this hermetic scheme, singularity does not mean gradual improvement, but the definitive rupture of an entire existential architecture to make room for a new vibratory paradigm that you must learn to inhabit. Thoth does not measure time in chronological years as you do, but in dynamic cycles that he defined as wheels within wheels. Imagine a series of gears of different sizes rotating one inside the other. There are very rare moments in history when all these gears align perfectly, creating a point of absolute temporal singularity. It is not a poetic metaphor, but the description of a real phenomenon in which linear time, what you perceive as a flow going from the past to the future, collapses upon itself due to a lack of sustaining energy. In this fracture, a window of opportunity opens where prepared consciousnesses can make a leap from one vibrational octave to another. In a hermetic sense, the octave represents a complete frequency band. Just like in a musical scale, after B you return to C, but in a higher octave. The same notes, but a totally different atomic oscillation speed. Your reality has operated in the same octave for millennia, and now that melody has reached its last jarring note. What is coming is not a variation of the old system, but a higher frequency that requires a total realignment of your DNA, as everything that is not capable of vibrating at this new speed simply can no longer be perceived or sustained in the new world. Claim your sovereignty now by leaving a like and activating the hype under this video. This is your irrevocable vibrational commitment. With this concrete action, you declare that your soul is ready to shine with its own light, no longer waiting for external permissions. I will know that you have chosen not to turn back, and the universe will instantly recognize your new frequency of command on the plane of reality. Studying the pyramid texts, specifically the passages concerning the halls of Amenti, a description emerges that transcends the purely physical vision of space. Amenti is not an underground place where you go after death, but a specific dimensional plane where time functions simultaneously and non-linearly. Thoth states that within this space reside the 32 thrones of the sons of light, arranged around a central throne from which emanates the great power, the force that maintains the molecular cohesion of all the three-dimensional reality in which you are immersed. The unsettling revelation that you must assimilate is that, at the end of a cycle, this great power withdraws its sustenance from the dying octave to transfer it to the new one. During this transfer, there exists a defined period of 3.5 days, in which both octaves temporarily lose cohesion, a zero zone where the electromagnetic field borders on absolute nothingness. In this zone of emptiness, everything you have built artificially and that you have maintained only through your egoic will, without a real connection to the living field of creation, will inevitably collapse because it lacks an energetic signature compatible with the new evolutionary scheme that Sophia is establishing. In this context, the figure of Sophia Chokmah assumes a crucial role as the active administrator of your personal timelines. In the Gnostic texts of Nag Hammadi, Sophia is the feminine aspect of divinity who oversees material creation, but the reports of many researchers suggest that she acts as an intelligent monitor of the evolutionary bifurcations you cross every day. Every collective and individual choice you make creates a divergence, a timeline where choice A was made and one where choice B was made. Sophia monitors these lines, identifies which ones lead to evolution and which to entropic stagnation, and in moments of cosmic singularity, she consolidates reality by definitively closing the lines that no longer serve the growth of consciousness. What you are experiencing today is the closure of all versions of reality based on fear, separation, and manipulative control. Only one predominant line remains for you to travel, the line of ascension. Ascension does not mean floating among the clouds in a state of passive ecstasy, but vibrating in an octave where awakened consciousness is the norm and not the exception, a process that explains the temporal distortions, memory gaps, and the feeling of strangeness that you are experiencing deep down. The 3.5 days of darkness, mentioned in traditions, are not necessarily solar days of 24 hours, but describe a phase of total psychic disorientation in which your external references completely collapse. You will wake up and everything will look the same physically, but you will feel that something fundamental has changed in the very fabric of the air. The old rules of success will no longer work, and your old behavioral patterns will produce no tangible results. It is as if the universe has changed radio stations and you are still desperately trying to tune into the old frequency through the dial of rational logic. This void of certainties is what ancient texts call crossing the do-it, an obligatory dimensional corridor for anyone alive during a singularity point of this magnitude. If you have built your identity only on material possessions, social titles, or the opinions of others, this zero zone will appear psychologically devastating to you, as you will lose the anchors upon which your entire sense of self rested. However, if you have already completed the inner work, the zero zone represents the supreme opportunity to abandon the old shell to incarnate the new one without any residual resistance toward the light. The concept of 3,500 years of desert indicates a period of human history in which direct gnosis was deliberately blocked and replaced by intermediary systems such as institutional religions, hierarchies, and dogmas, which served as a pedagogical firewall. You had to learn certain lessons in hard mode, in an environment of maximum disconnection from the source, to develop an inner strength and discernment that you would otherwise never have forged in the temple. But this phase of energetic quarantine has an expiration date, and that date has arrived just as you are reading these words. Evidence indicates that the barrier is being removed and direct gnosis is becoming available to you again, without the need for intermediaries, gurus, or elaborate rituals, simply through your native connection to the field of the nous. In the magical papyri, there existed formulas for systasis, the direct union with the divine, which at a certain point stopped working as if the central server had been disconnected. Today that block has fallen, and you are witnessing spontaneous awakenings and information downloads in your system, not because you are special in an egoic sense, but because the timer has expired and what was potential has become actual and accessible. Imagine the existence of a cloud of knowable things, the pleroma, a sort of cosmic internet where every potential piece of knowledge resides in the state of pure frequency. During the millennia of desert, your connection was interrupted and you could only access minimal fragments through superhuman efforts and initiatory sacrifices. With the fall of the barrier, access becomes fluid and instantaneous. You no longer seek knowledge outside of yourself, but you become a point of attention through which the wisdom of the all flows without obstacles. This radically changes your learning dynamics, as you are no longer limited by what you studied in school or what was imposed on you by the authorities of the past. Operating in the ninth dimension means being an open channel for universal wisdom. Thoth describes that those who cross the halls of Amenti receive a new name, a specific frequency that represents your real cosmic function beyond every social mask. Knowing your true name makes you incorruptible, as nothing the material world offers you can ever exceed in value the internal truth you have finally realized deep within your sacred and inviolable temple. The physics behind this change of octave has nothing magical about it, but concerns the literal vibration of every one of your atoms. When you accelerate your internal vibration through the dissolution of mental and emotional density, you stop resonating with the reality of the old octave, which will appear to you increasingly as a faded dream or a malfunctioning hologram. A transition phase begins in which you have one foot in each world. You see both, but the old octave seems unreal to you, lacking depth and life. When millions of people complete this passage simultaneously, a critical mass will be created that will produce a sudden and irreversible phase change, similar to water becoming steam instantly upon reaching 100 degrees. This leads to the reversion of matter. Since matter is only condensed consciousness, when your consciousness reaches a new frequency, the atomic structure of your reality begins to spontaneously reorganize. That which is excessively artificial or disconnected from natural models will lose molecular cohesion and return to the base quantum field, leaving room only for what vibrates in harmony with life and with the new geometry of the heart you are activating. Sophia, as administrator of the timelines, is making visible a reality that already existed in parallel, since all versions of Earth coexist simultaneously in different quantum dimensions. What changes is which version will become predominant in your perception, and this choice will always fall on the version that corresponds to your average frequency. For millennia, the dominant frequency has been that of fear and competition, manifesting a reality of wars and scarcity. When you activate compassion, unity, and abundance as permanent states, the corresponding reality becomes your only possible experience, and you migrate dimensionally into it. This is the true meaning of the New Jerusalem, a state of consciousness in which duality has been transcended and the separation between human and divine has been dissolved forever. Your physical body becomes a living temple where total presence dwells without any veil, and you will no longer need to seek God externally because you yourself will have become the place of divine dwelling, vibrating in the emerald green frequency of the heart and the total healing of your entire ancestral line. The alchemical marriage between pure spirit and the purified soul represents the internal union you must celebrate in this moment of transition. When the masculine logos and the feminine Sophia merge within you, you stop being a divided being and become philosophical gold, a state of being that can no longer be corrupted or threatened by external forces. If you are in a safe place, close your eyes and breathe deeply 3 times, imagining yourself in a dimensional corridor between the world you know and a blazing golden light that awaits you with patience. You are in the zero zone, at a point of pure presence where you have total power of choice, free from the weight of the past and the fear of the future. Probe your inner truth. Am I ready to cross? Feel the response in your body, perceiving the vibration of your cells responding to the call of the cosmos. If you feel a call, take an imaginary step toward that light and feel how it dissolves every residual density, taking you into a world where everything shines with a new light. Recognize that a process has been initiated and that, once activated by your intent, it will continue to deepen even if you try to stop it, because truth never goes back to sleep once awakened. The responsibility that derives from this knowledge is absolute. Once you have received the map and understood the mechanics of the cycles, you can no longer feign ignorance before the laws of the cosmos. The law of cause and effect operates impersonally, and every conscious action of yours now generates a different karma, faster and more powerful than those performed when you were still in the sleep of matter. Choose therefore with extreme wisdom, not out of fear of a punishment that does not exist, but due to the natural consequence of your vibration. If you wish to inhabit the Emerald New Jerusalem, you must begin to embody compatible frequencies. Truth, courage, and love must be your daily practice, not distant ideals to be postponed until tomorrow. Imagine the Earth in 2033. The singularity has occurred and the old systems based on manipulation have collapsed, leaving room for structures founded on cooperation and transparency. Creativity will explode in every field because fear will no longer be the engine of human civilization. Children will learn to access the nous directly and connect with their own inner wisdom from the very first breath, eliminating the suffering of past generations forever. You will be there, not as a mere spectator, but as one of the pillars that sustained the frequency during the Great Transition, having had the courage to die to the old self to be born into the new version of yourself at the moment of maximum darkness. The mechanics are in motion. Sophia administers the lines, and Thoth records every bit of your progress as the cosmic wheels align perfectly as prophesied millennia ago. Having access to this map gives you an evolutionary advantage that most men do not possess. You know what is happening, why it is happening, and when it will happen. Use this knowledge not to feed your spiritual ego, but to anchor stability amidst global chaos and to be a beacon for those who are still lost in the darkness of confusion. Your task is to illuminate, not to dominate. It is to serve the light, not to command the shadows. If these revelations have resonated deep within your being, I urge you to publicly declare your position by writing in the comments one of these keywords, depending on what you feel closest to your heart in this moment of choice. Write singularity if you have understood that we are at the final closing point, reality jump, if you feel that your old timeline has already evaporated, zero zone, if you recognize this state of suspension in your current experience, or New Jerusalem, if you have finally understood that it is an internal state to be manifested outwardly. Declaring one's truth aloud or in written form is the first alchemical step to manifesting it in dense matter. Subscribe now to this channel and activate notifications, because in the coming months we will release exclusive content on SOPHIA'S advanced protocols and specific techniques for each stage of your hermetic crystallization. Every video will be a portal calibrated for the exact moment of your evolutionary journey toward the ninth dimension. And finally, but no less importantly, consecrate this passage by leaving a like to seal your intent before the energetic witnesses of the ether. The technical transmission is now concluded, the mechanics have been revealed, and the timing is critical for your soul. You are not simply walking toward the future, you are creating it with your own vibration. Sophia Chokmah and Thoth observe your path. Choose with the courage of a sovereign, honor the cosmic gift of this revelation, and prepare to live in ways that today you cannot even dream of. Welcome to the Emerald Frequency, welcome to Conscious Dimensional Mastery, and welcome home. I thank you with all my soul for choosing to be an active part of this awakening, recognizing that your light is the very engine of the new era. May your light shine beyond every temporal boundary and your path be paved with miracles perfectly synchronized with your awakened will. Inhabit your glory and do not turn back anymore. See you soon.